This is Pete Moore on Halo Talks NYC. I have the pleasure of having my friend Dr. Kevin Steele, who we should have met probably 25 years ago in this industry, and we're just meeting a little bit late, but we're better late than never. So Kevin's been from Pepperdine to Bally, working with Don Wildman to PTA on the Net and PTA Global. So welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
So I think one of the most interesting parts of having a podcast with someone like you is like you've seen the evolution of this industry, you know, basically from its inception, you know, in the commercial health club sense. So why don't you give our listeners some of your background, how you got into the industry, how you moved around and basically seen every part of it, and now, you know, on the technology side and education.
Okay, great. Well, yeah, the good and the bad news is I have been around a long time. And,
yeah, you look great, man. You look great.
Thank you. And you talk about the beginning of the industry. I started a personal training business before personal training was a business. It was really the only guys that had trainers were the guys in Hollywood getting ready for films.
Yeah, that's right.
And so living in Malibu and going to Pepperdine University, I actually kind of fell into it. I had a couple of physician friends of mine that asked me to help them get their lives and their weight back and everything else, and so I just started exercising with them, and one thing led to the next, and I realized there was a business there. So I taught and coached at Pepperdine University.
What'd you coach?
I coached early on. I coached men's and women's cross country.
Oh, okay.
And I was the aquatic director there during the '84 Olympic Games when we had water polo at Pepperdine.
Sure. Yeah.
So that was cool. And I also worked with a local physician doing preventive executive healthcare programs for decentralized companies around the country.
Wow.
So in the middle '80s, Don Wildman, who was the founder and CEO of Health and Tennis Corporation, he asked me to get involved and help do some project work with him and work with some of the celebrity spokespeople.
Okay.
And that was my first kind of introduction to the commercial health club.
Now, was Bally, did they have locations in California at the time?
In those days, it wasn't called Bally. It was all the regional. We had every major chain under our umbrella, with the exception of 24-Hour Nautilus.
Was it like an affiliate program, like part ownership?
No, we owned all of them.
Wow. Okay. So they kept the brand, but it was under the same umbrella company.
In California, it was Holiday Spa. Chicago Health Clubs, Jack LaLanne's, Vic Tanny, Scandinavian, US Health, all of those guys were us.
Got it, okay.
And we were a holding company. That's where I started. And I came in, and you mentioned the beginning of the industry. We created and launched the first national platform for personal training. Prior to that, there was no large. Don Wildman asked me one day if personal training was a viable business. And I said, of course it was, because I had it. He goes, no, can we scale it in 370 health clubs?
Right.
I said, I don't know. I mean, coming from academia, I needed some research. And he, of course, said,
well. You also thought you weren't one of the guys to say, like, yeah, we could do that. We'll figure it out along the way. Like, you come from academia, you're like,
right.
We got to have a plan. Like, it's got to make sense, right? I'm not just going to roll something out.
Exactly. So he says, how much time do you know? I don't know. He says, you have a week. Come back to me in a week.
I just said that to one of my guys to tour 142 clubs. I said I need it done in like 8 days. He's like, it's like I'd do it in 17. Anyway, so go on.
So I come back to Don, and he says, what'd you find out? I said, well, I found out that nobody's ever done this. There's no model. So we're going to have to create the model. He says, good. He says, go make it happen. That was my directive.
That was your budget.
That was my budget.
Yeah,
just,
right.
Come up with this program, and he called it my program, right? So, 6 months later, after I did the research, and I had a couple of guys in our accounting and finance, because that's not my technical expertise, we created this structure, and we launched it and rolled with it, and that was the first national platform for personal training.
Amazing. So, from there, you moved on to 24-hour. As part of the, that was probably during the mass expansion of that platform.
Well, that is actually Mark Mastrove contracted me and said, hey, you know what? We put this company together, and we need somebody to come in and run our fitness department and, oversee all of the integration, because there was two companies, Family Fitness in Southern California and 24-Hour Nautilus in Northern California. And we blended these two companies, and culturally they were different, et cetera. And the Southern California team didn't have any fitness and personal training. They were a membership company, and the Northern California did. So that was kind of my charge to put that together.
Got it. And shout out to Mastrov right now. Good,
shout out to Mark.
From back in the day. Good work. Come building this industry with us.
That's it.
Impressive plan and growth, and it all happened. So here we are.
And Mark is an amazing guy with an amazing vision, as everybody knows. So it was a pleasure working with him. And we created a department called Health Services, which integrated healthcare into the clubs. Because when Mark first contacted me, I said, I've been there and done that with the biggest in the industry, so I want to do something a little different. And he said, what do you have in mind? And that's when I told him about integrating healthcare into the clubs. And he says, that sounds great. Keep talking. And eventually, that's what we did. We signed some unprecedented deals with insurance companies back in the day.
It's funny that how the industry kind of evolves, and now it's like 2019, people saying, yeah, I'm working with some health insurance companies. It's like a new idea. It's like, it's not a new idea. You just got to figure out how to execute.
Exactly.
Most ideas are just remanufactured from some prior evolution of another wave that kind of had its own set of, objectives and had its own technology, and most of it's about marketing anyway, right? I mean, you got to tell the story and get someone to do it.
That's true.
So talk about what you're doing now, with PTA on the net, which I've known for a long time, which was now acquired, as I understand, by PTA Global, and what your initiatives are, and how the industry should know of, how they can interact with you and, become better at what they do.
Well, our objective is to really raise the bar as far as the way fitness professionals, wellness coaches are educated, and provide operators with the opportunity to provide top-notch education for their teams. And so we've worked really hard on bringing in the latest, greatest information and education there, and delivering it from a technology perspective, so it's totally accessible 24/7. Mm-hmm. And another initiative we're really focused on is integrating healthcare into the facilities, because there's a lot of, the baby boomers are the largest demographic. And essentially everybody 50 plus has some kind of chronic condition or illness. And if the trainers aren't well educated and prepared to work with those people, then they're doing themselves and their clients a disservice.
Yeah, I mean, it also, at some point, you're like the authority.
Exactly.
Right, and the expert. You better actually follow through and be that.
Exactly.
Or else the industry's going to suffer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're trying to provide the tools and the knowledge space for these fitness professionals to go to the next level there. And we're also actively and aggressively, our initiative is to integrate into the university and JC community college world, because if we can provide the curriculum with the tools for the kids, so even if they want to get a part-time job while they're in school,
right,
or essentially when they step out, we can help them with job placement, and also but practical application tools, not just the theoretical, but the practical approach to working in this industry.
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's one of the things that I always felt was missing. It's like if you get a certification and you want to go pursue a specific career, let's figure out a way to tie those things together. I was doing some work in the with Massage Envy, did one of their original transactions. And what they said was, look, I can only grow as quick as I can get really good massage therapists. So they said, look, I'm not going to wait to find those people or for them to find me. I'm going to go to those schools. I'm going to get embedded with those schools, and I'm basically going to take as many people as they can give me, because I'm growing so quickly. So, yeah, as you think about the platform that you set up, how is that going to continue to evolve to make sure, hey, you got a certification, now you got a job?
Yeah, and we work with a lot of the large chains, and what we call help build their bench for them, because as you know, there's a lot of churn in the industry, and so one of the biggest challenges for any large operators or even a regional player is to attract and recruit and retain good quality employees, right? And make sure that they feel welcome and they want to stick around, because the cost in the back door, just if you run the numbers and what the churn and burn is for them, is ridiculous. So we help work on that bench.
That's awesome. So how do people find you? Is it all online? Are there events that are taking place? What's tell us about how it's all set up.
We primarily are online. I mean, we do some live workshops, but 95% of what we do is delivered online at ptaglobal.com or ptonthenet.com. And again, we have the largest online exercise program design library. We also have a huge CEC library, and then we have some really cool cutting-edge specialty courses, and we have a portfolio of medical fitness courses as well. So we address various sectors within the industry.
And then where's the company based out of?
Westlake Village, California.
Gotcha. And, from a standpoint of ways that we could help you here on Halo Talks, is it mostly, people that are getting into the industry that kind of start out, or is it like, hey, come to us if you're already in a club and you want to, build your resume and your expertise? What's the
both actually. Yeah, both actually, because for the brand new trainer, we have a NCCA accredited personal training certification. We also have advanced specialty courses for that part of it, and then we're a wonderful reference for the experienced trainers. We have continuing education, some very good stuff. Like I mentioned, the medical fitness courses by some of the best professionals and expertise in their world, and then we also have a CEC library. So we have a myriad of services and tools for the new one and the experienced trainers.
That's great. So, as you originally started in the industry and going back, and you're probably a dozen years ahead of me when I, first got involved in the sector. And it's been amazing to see the growth of a trade show like this, and, people coming and saying like, yeah, like, of course we're going to work in the health club sector. Like, as I was saying to somebody else, like my Jewish mother was like, when are you going to go back to like a real banking job? I'm like, just wait. Like there's going to be enough to do here, and everyone's going to make enough money, and it's going to be fine. And I don't have to ever wear a suit and a tie again, which is awesome. But as you think about like where things are and where things are going, could you ever have thought that this was possible? And did you ever, do you really start to say on your end, like, hey, what I've been preaching, like it's finally like going and becoming a pervasive, lifestyle?
Yeah, the answer to both of those is yes. Back in the day, I had those same questions. When are you going to get a real job?
Right.
I mean, I went to school. I always thought I was going to be a teacher and a coach. And I got turned on to exercise physiology, and then I met Mr. Wildman, and he opened my eyes to the health club business. And then Mark Mastro, we took it to the next level. And I had the pleasure working with Bahram Akradi at Lifetime. And so I've worked for some really cool organizations, and so I'm honored to call some of these guys my friends and colleagues. So it's been great, and somehow I've made a career out of it.
That's great.
I've been doing it for 35 years, and so it's all good. And I think the future's even brighter now because when there's challenges, there's opportunities, and this country's facing one of the biggest challenges we'll ever face. Our healthcare expenditure this year is going to be $3.3 trillion. And a lot of it's allocated towards obesity and chronic metabolic diseases.
I'm going to tell you something, not to end on a sour note, because we'll figure out a better note to end on, but I will tell you that I was reading an article yesterday, and they were talking about how restaurants are becoming obesity-friendly, which means setting up their locations so they can have bigger tables, bigger chairs, more reinforcement, larger lines. And I'm like, that is not the answer. And that bothers me. And we got to fix that because I don't want them to conform. Granted, there's some people that have thyroid issues and other things, but the most important thing is nutrition and getting off your ass and actually doing something. And all these drugs that are like, have all these side effects like lower, thin your blood, but you're probably gonna have suicidal tendencies. I'm like, go to the gym for 6 weeks. Stay off of that shit, and like we could fix you this way instead of that way, which is like
so true.
That's what's costing everyone all this money. So your service has been important and awesome, and it sounds like your platform that you're working on right now is a great way to basically take and scale all that knowledge that you've had over the years.
Well, that's the hope, and that's the objective. It's good. It's a great way to help people, help other people. Because my whole philosophy, the reason I got into this business was to help educate and motivate people about the benefits of a healthy lifestyle. And our industry is so poised to do that. It's where the rubber meets the road.
Sure.
You've got the government, medicine, science, academia, all shouting the same thing. But where the rubber meets the road is this industry. This is where we can change people's lives. If we can really focus on execution and just stay in the course, then we're going to do it and we're going to have an impact.
Yeah, and I think, going back to your stat of like the cost of healthcare, it's like, if I'm on a healthcare insurance plan, pay me to go to the gym.
Absolutely.
Pay for my membership. Don't put up any barriers, because if you pay for my health club membership for a year, if I don't show up in that hospital room, you saved your money, right? I mean, it's just like, it's such a no-brainer. So we're going to fix it, and we've made a lot of progress over the years. So look forward to tracking your progress, and now we're friends. So take it from there.
Thank you very much.
Tell Mark and Neil I say hello.
Okay,
thanks.
you got
Take
it.
care.